Thanks for tuning in to the KRVN Sports Podcast page, your home for all of the local broadcasts produced by KRVN Sports. This page and the playback is brought to you by Hoegemeyer Hybrids, raising the bar on yield performance. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen. Former Kearney High Bearcat Brett Maher is one of those who will be inducted this fall into the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame. Of course, Maher had a great career with the Huskers and went on and had some success in the NFL as a kicker as well. Had a chance to talk to Brett this week, and he's very, very honored to be going into the Nebraska Hall of Fame.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. This is really, really incredible. Kind of surreal, to be honest with you. It brought up a lot of great memories from my time down in Nebraska, and from being a kid growing up watching the Huskers and all those greats and icons and heroes for me when I was a kid, and to have any sort of resemblance and passing similarities with them at this point in my life is really, really cool. So it's a great honor for me and my family, and hopefully not just a celebration for me, but for so many countless people that have helped me get into that position.
When you look back at this, how did you do it? You were a walk-on, you got to Nebraska, eventually you had success, you hung around the NFL for a long time. This obviously had to be something that was pretty important to you that you wanted to accomplish. Well,
I think playing at Nebraska was something that I wanted to accomplish. Playing in the NFL was something that I wanted to accomplish. This was honestly never anything that was on my radar growing up while I was playing in the NFL or any time in between. This is just something that's really, really cool, very humbling, just a huge honor for me. In terms of how I did it, I guess, to circle back to that question, I don't have a great answer for you there. I think it was just a lot of support, some God-given ability, and a lot of resilience to get me through to this point. There's no secret sauce. Just like any other facet of life, it's hard work, determination, resiliency, making sure that you try to stay in control of things that you can stay in control of, and the cool stuff, I guess, just kind of happens along the way.
There's been a lot of guys over the years that they've been good kickers, they were good punters. You were both. Is that something that you spent the same amount of time working on when you were coming up through the ranks?
I would say when I was in high school, I spent a little more time kicking. When I got to Nebraska, there was a little bit of a shift there for me in terms of spending more time punting. But I've always been, I guess up until that point, I was always a combo guy, but was more of a kicker than a punter. And then at the tail end of my career, playing professionally, kind of went back to that. But that little area where I played and kicked and punted at Nebraska, and then actually kicked and punted up in Canada as well, where it was pretty split fairly evenly, doing both.
Today we're talking with former Kearney star and former Husker Brett Maher, who will be inducted into the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame in September. Brett, you did your part. You were part of that long line of just great kickers and punters for a time there at Nebraska. To be a part of that fraternity has to make you pretty proud.
Yeah, that it's a really, really cool group to be included in. And so, I grew up watching some of them and have gotten to know quite a few of them. And again, to be able to be in the same group of starting kickers and punters at the University of Nebraska is really cool. And then a few of us that have kind of separated into now being in the Husker Hall of Fame, which is still, kind of new and surreal for me to say, is really, really cool.
Spent a lot of time in and out of the NFL. You went to Canada. You were up there. How does one mentally stay, tough and deal with the disappointments, and then know, if you do what you do, you're probably going to have another opportunity down the line?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing there is just believing in yourself and in your process, staying resilient through that. Also have unbelievable support system. Starts with my wife, and to allow me and take such a big hold of what our family needed at that time when I was trying to make it, and then when I made it, and then up and leaving to different parts of the world and different parts of the United States to be able to keep chasing and pursuing that, will, forever be thankful for that and for the journey and the memories that's created for me and for our family. All of it is really, really just it's been a really cool ride, and this is a nice cherry on top of it for sure.
You had some big moments in the NFL. You nailed some huge kicks, especially on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. Explain that feeling a little bit, connecting on 50 and 60-yard field goals in front of the entire nation.
It's a lot of fun. It's a huge rush. And that's a big reason why it's so captivating to do what I did for a while. Is you can't replicate those moments in very many other sectors and very many other relationships and in job sectors either. So it's a ton of fun. It's a huge rush. It's a ton of work, and there's you don't. Not everyone necessarily understands the highs and lows that road comes with, but those particular moments are definitely will stand out and be remembered forever.
Was this always kind of your plan to be a coach or an assistant, or is that just kind of how it wrapped up at the end of your NFL career and then to come back and help out the Huskers?
Yeah, it just kind of happened. I always thought that I would be involved, I guess, a little bit, but what did that look like? What did that mean? Was it coming and volunteering for a day or two during the summer or doing something like that? I didn't really know. My intent, honestly, was not to come back and do what I'm doing. But I'm glad that it shook out the way that it did.
What's your take on the group you're working with the Huskers?
I think we've got a very, very talented, bright, sharp, gritty room at the moment right now. We've got a lot of work to do before we kick off the season, but it's been a lot of fun getting to know them, getting to know how they work, watching them work. It's been a lot of fun for me.
That's former Husker and former Kearney High Bearcat Brett Maher. Once again, one of those who will be inducted into the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame in September. He is certainly worthy of that big honor. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen.